Phil Robertson's will was read the day after his funeral inside a quiet lawyer's office in West Monroe. Present were Miss Kay, his wife of more than 50 years, their sons Alan, Jace, Willie, and Jep, and Phyllis, the daughter Phil discovered late in life and embraced fully. They expected a routine division of assets. Instead, they were met with handwritten letters Phil had prepared for each of them. When news of Phil's passing broke, the family anticipated grief, but not what followed. The man known for preaching simplicity, faith, and discipline left behind a deeply personal final message. As the lawyer opened Phil's instructions, the room fell silent. In the months leading up to May 2025, Phil's health declined faster than anyone expected. After revealing his early-stage Alzheimer's diagnosis in December 2024, fans assumed a slow progression. The reality was far harsher. The disease rapidly affected his memory and strength, turning small lapses into frightening moments of confusion. By April 2025, the family could no longer hide the truth. On the Unashamed podcast, Jace admitted, "He's not good. We're making him comfortable," revealing the struggle they had quietly endured. Phil, the unshakable patriarch, was fading. His body weakened, his voice softened, and even simple routines required help. Yet through it all, he remained calm. He had spoken of death for years without fear, always with certainty. "Don't cry when I die," he told his children. To him, death was not an ending, but a crossing. Dance, sing, but don't cry. Phil said it so often it became a family motto, something he fully expected them to honor. But when the day came, none could follow those words. Phil passed away at home on May 25, 2025, at 79, surrounded by his loved ones. Jace was first to announce it. "My dad has gone to be with the Lord today," with Willie and Corey adding messages of grief and gratitude for the years they shared with him. The funeral reflected exactly what Phil would have wanted. No reporters, no cameras, no politicians, just family, close friends, and the heavy silence that comes from a lifetime shared. They prayed, remembered, and tried not to cry, but most failed. Yet it wasn't the funeral that truly broke them. It was what came next. In the lawyer's office, reading Phil's will and handwritten letters, the room finally shattered. These weren't about money. They were confessions, apologies, blessings, and final lessons for the people he loved most. Each letter explained why a gift was given, what he hoped they would do with it, and how he wanted his legacy carried forward. Miss Kay received the family estate. Alan got Phil's collection of religious writings. Jace and Jep inherited Duck Commander shares with the duty to guard tradition. Phyllis received land and a heartfelt apology for growing up without knowing her father. And Willie, the son who brought Duck Commander to the mainstream, received the controlling stake with one simple message: protect the faith, protect the legacy. The tears weren't for the inheritance, but for what they had lost: a life, a father, and a legacy forged in the swamps. Before fame and fortune, Phil was a poor Louisiana boy, born in 1946, where hunting wasn't a hobby, it was survival. Those hardships shaped him into a tough, defiant, self-reliant man, deeply connected to the land. A gifted athlete, he earned a football scholarship at Louisiana Tech and became starting quarterback in 1966-67, with future NFL legend Terry Bradshaw as his backup. Most men would have pursued that dream, but Phil walked away from football for duck season, a choice that, in his words, defined who he was. He valued freedom over fame. In 1972, he turned that freedom into a business. Duck Commander began as a small operation run from his home, where Phil hand-carved duck calls and shipped them out one order at a time. Miss Kay, pregnant at 17 and raising their children, stood by Phil through every hardship. For years, they barely got by, relying on faith and whatever the bayou provided. Then the business grew, slowly at first, then steadily, and finally explosively, when Willie returned from college with a plan to modernize everything. The empire that followed, the one that made Phil a multimillionaire, was built on poverty, sacrifice, and family loyalty. That's why the letters in his will carried such weight. Each child wasn't just inheriting money, they were inheriting a story written across generations. Phil became known worldwide through Duck Dynasty, which premiered on A&E in 2012. What began as a simple reality show about a family business became a cultural phenomenon, drawing over 11 million weekly viewers. On TV, Phil was blunt, unwavering, and true to the man he had always been. Fame amplified Phil. In 2013, a GQ interview sparked outrage over his comments on homosexuality and race. Advertisers pulled back, civil rights groups demanded accountability, but conservative supporters rallied, and A&E reinstated him within weeks. Phil never apologized, insisting his beliefs came from Scripture. He became a fixture in conservative politics, endorsing Ted Cruz in 2016 and later Donald Trump. To some, he symbolized unwavering faith. To others, intolerance. Phil remained unmoved, believing he was fulfilling God's will. Behind the scenes, the family felt the strain. Duck Dynasty ended in 2017 after 11 seasons, followed by spin-offs. In 2025, Duck Dynasty, The Next Generation was announced, but Phil would not appear. Alzheimer's had taken too much, though his influence continued to shape the franchise, the fortune he built, and the responsibilities his family carried. Long before fame, Phil battled alcohol, violence, and a volatile temper that nearly destroyed his marriage. Kay, married at 17, held the family together through faith and perseverance. Then, in a small West Monroe church, Phil experienced a transformation. He embraced Christianity with a conviction that guided every decision for the rest of his life. From that moment, he rebuilt his marriage, humbled himself before his children, and dedicated himself to work, teaching, and provision. Faith became the foundation of everything: the family business, his books, speeches, and the Unashamed podcast with Jace and Al. Even in his final months, as Alzheimer's took its toll, his voice remained remarkably clear. This was the Phil honored in his will, not the millionaire, not the TV star, but the man who rose from failure to live his faith fully. Phil's passing on May 25, 2025, marked more than a personal loss. It closed a chapter of a generation, self-made Southern men who built with their hands, trusted God above all, and resisted modern culture. The private funeral reflected who Phil was. No cameras, no politicians, just family, close friends, scripture readings, and long silences heavy with shared history. The letters in Phil's will weren't about money. They were reminders of identity, faith, and responsibility. Willie became majority owner of Duck Commander. Jace continued the podcast. Jep handled his share of the legacy, and the revival series prepared to carry Phil's influence forward. The family cried not for the fortune, but for the love, faith, and responsibility behind it. If you loved learning about the iconic stars of old Hollywood, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes stories, trivia, and all things vintage glam. Join the conversation in the comments below. Who's your favorite old Hollywood celebrity and why? Make sure to ring the bell so you never miss a new video on the golden era of cinema.